Whoa, this really is pretty freaking close when this turns on. Hi. I'm kind of a mess because I just woke up today. Last night we had the Twitch stream, and it was something that I really needed for the week because I had a pretty miserable week. And due to time constraints and everything else going on today, I decided that I was going to record this on my phone rather than my traditional camera. So if it looks weird, that's why. Oh, my sleeve is up. Ugh, I don't want my sleeve up. There we go. Okay. We're good. I hopefully won't have to move you 700 times. I'm trying to use a selfie stick. I regret everything. Maybe that'll work. Oh, cool. Maybe that'll work so I don't have to, like, balance it too much. But, so yeah, I was on the stream last night, and I happened to mention that I had a pretty shitty week, but I didn't really elaborate why I had a shitty week. And I know you guys as my cat family, you guys support me in everything I do, and I really truly appreciate it, but today's one of those days reflecting back on what happened for the week as a whole. It's one of those experiences that I just would like to share with you on a bunch of different topics, both personal and maybe a little political. Maybe. I don't know how political I want to get because it's a very sensitive topic to sensitive people, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So a lot happened to me on election day because the morning of Tuesday, I had another job interview, which was kind of a spur of the moment thing. It was a job that I had applied for a month ago. And normally, at least in the past, every time that I applied for a job, if I didn't hear from them after 2 weeks, I just kind of assumed, okay, well, that's it. And this place finally got back to me. So I thought at first it was a good sign. At least that's what it's supposed to be, right? Like, if someone reaches out to you after they haven't for a long time, that means, like, it's a good thing. They're considering you. At least that's what I thought. So that's kind of what I thought about the whole situation. Like, wow, maybe they got a lot of, people applying for the jobs, so they just took a handful of people and I was the handful. That's really cool. So I planned it for Tuesday morning because I had to go vote anyway, so I figured while I was out and about that I would also do the job interview and then go to work. But the way that whole thing figured out was I wasn't able to go vote in the morning. I was just able to go to the interview and then go vote later. So in the morning, I went to the job interview, and it was only 10 minutes away from my house. So that was a huge positive. I got there incredibly early, and when I finally got in there, the guy, I originally felt bad for because apparently he recently had surgery on his leg, like he tore an ACL or something. So it was really weird, but I offered my help. I opened doors, closed doors kind of thing, and kind of helped him get situated because this guy's interviewing me. Like, I should be nice to him because what if he's a potential employer? Maybe it'll look good for me. So I did that, and then we're sitting down going over some things. He's talking about the company and not really asking questions other than, so did you do this? Did you do that? Because everywhere I go, I mean, I have a digital portfolio, but everywhere I go, I also bring samples of my work. So I usually bring like brochures and calendars and like, stuff that I've done work on. And it was the first time that anyone, not really the first time, the second time, because the last job interview I had last month was also another fucking shit show. But it was like the second time that I had anyone question my skills. They're like, they look at my work and they're like, this doesn't show me anything. Which, as a designer, you need to learn how to take constructive criticism, which is fine. If you don't like my work, if it looks like shit, then tell me. That's fine. But the fact that you look at something that I make and you say, this doesn't show me anything, and then I elaborate what it shows. I'm like, this shows this business. It advertises the company, blah, blah, blah. Like, here's a really difficult way of thinking about a graphic designer, which I think every single place I've ever interviewed overlooks. They like to look at your work. They like to look at your portfolio, but they like to look at it in a way that represents you, which is fine. But as a designer, not everything you will do will represent you. And I say this because if you make an ad, if you're given the information to make an advertisement for somebody, and that advertisement gets shot down by the client and the client wants a basic shit, generic, whatever, then you do that. Regardless of your design, regardless of your talent, if he just wants a fucking bland thing, you give him a bland thing. Why? Because he's paid. So perhaps samples of my work were based on that. Were based on what a very small country hometown wanted. Not like New York City, not like Los Angeles. This is Pennsylvania. I don't know what kind of design work people expect from Pennsylvania. And it's not like I provide design work like wedding invitations or like personal stuff from my standpoint. There's an artistic creative side, and then there's like a basic needs side for graphic design. And I feel like everywhere I go for these interviews, they don't care about the basic needs part of it. They don't care if they look at an advertisement or like a brochure or a map or whatever you made, and they don't look at it in a way where like they respect the basic needs of it. This does what it needs to do. This does what the client wanted to do, and this is what the client paid you to do. They don't look at it like that. They don't want to look at it like that. And I think that's the whole part of these past two interviews that irked me, because here I am providing actual samples of work of people that paid me to do things, and you're telling me it's shit. But this is what the client wanted. I'm not going to like remake an entire, like tourist map just because I didn't like the way it looked. Like, that's kind of selfish in the design aspect of it. Like, then I'm just giving you an unrealistic approach to what I feel like should have been done, but I didn't get to do. I don't know. It's, it's really weird. And then looking back on the interview, I also thought to myself, this guy probably thought I was out of college, because the job that I had applied for was an entry-level position. And this guy probably treated me like I was a fresh out-of-college student, because I remembered him asking for my college portfolio. And while I didn't express it, I was just like, well, I don't have it. What I should have said was, I graduated college 7 years ago, and you're never going to see it because I didn't major in graphic design. But I didn't say that because I don't think like that in tight situations. So, but that day, after the whole experience, the guy pretty much shot me down. It was a 10-minute interview followed by, well, I have other interviews, pretty much get out. He didn't say it like that, but he was just like, well, I have other interviews, so I'll get back to you. Which, that's pretty much what it translates to. It's like, I'm uninterested with you and I'm never talking with you again. So I got pretty upset, pretty emotional, because it's such a roller coaster, first of all, to find these things, to find these jobs, to apply for. And then when they make you run around the bush 7 times and then they shit on you, essentially. It's embarrassing. It's like, I'm not, guarantee I did apply for an entry-level position, and maybe I don't have a degree in the field, which kind of makes me like the low end of the card, which I completely understand. There's a lot of other people more professional than me. But if you're interviewing a bunch of college students and you're comparing me to them, I actually have 3 years in the industry working actively, and these kids don't even have 1. These kids have a college, and that's another thing, is when you're in college, you do everything as a group. You're able to kind of choose what to do to make your portfolio, but you all make a portfolio. So it's just all some like universal slob thrown together based on whatever work you did in college, which is great. It shows off your college skills. It doesn't show that you have any experience in the field talking with individuals or whatever. And if you're going to compare my work to that, when I have 3 years experience in the industry dealing with some nice clients, some not so nice clients, like, I don't know. You know, if you're just going to focus on the work and not really like the customer service or whatever, then I don't want to work for you. Because there's a lot more to design than just sitting there looking pretty and making pretty things. There's a lot more involved to it. And when you overlook me for that, it kind of pisses me off. Like, I have to admit. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys looking for jobs, you kind of feel the same way, you know? You might be, like, for example, this is a really good example. It might be retail. And you might be a cashier, and maybe you want to work customer service, and your manager tells you no. And yet he hires some young pretty thing off the street who doesn't have a freaking ounce of experience in customer service, and she works customer service desk day one. That's a little fucking unfair. Like, even you would have to admit, when you have seniority, when you have a lot more personal and like business experience, and you're overlooked because, well, you're not the ideal candidate, aka I don't want you. And it's really embarrassing. So Tuesday, when I left the place and I had to come back here, I had to change out of my interview attire and then get back into regular clothes and head to work. I was pretty emotional. I was pretty upset, and it made for a very upsetting day. And then the worst about it is I'm doing it all not really telling my boss, not really telling my manager what is going on. Obviously, because I'm looking for work, I'm not leaving yet. So I'm not going to say, yeah, I'm going to a job interview. I'm not going to say that. So of course I'm like, I look upset. I literally look like I've had a really shitty day, and instead I have to, you know, smile through it and pretend everything is fine, and then continue to go to work and act like nothing's wrong, even though something's really wrong. And that part is emotionally exhausting, to be honest with you, to have like a really rotten day and not tell anyone you had a really rotten day because you can't trust anyone to not tell higher up about why you really had a rotten day is really hard. And so that was the start of my shitty Tuesday. And then the end of the shitty Tuesday was obviously what I think a lot of Americans across the world kind of experienced when we all experienced the shock of Trump being elected president. Now, I'm not going to get political in the standpoint of where you stood for the voting. Like, if you voted for him or against him, I am not hating you either way. I did not vote for him personally, but I will not say who I voted for, because it really doesn't matter now. What matters is you go vote. But what's been really hard is just seeing social media after the election, seeing all the news reports, the vandalism, the protests, the violence, the unnecessary hate that has spawned out of this election is absolutely ridiculous. And personally, makes me feel embarrassed to be an American, makes me feel humiliated to live here, knowing what is going on. Now, guarantee, I live in a very small town, so I'm not going to actually see what you see on the news. I'm not going to see people physically getting beat up. I'm not going, to see kids walking out of school protesting Trump. I'm not going to see, people flooding highways and streets and roads and cities in protest of who is president. But what I do see on Facebook is all of that going on around the world, on top of some very close friends of mine freaking out that he is president, and those friends are like women. They're women. One of my friends is having a baby next year. Another one of my friends is gay, and he's like, well, what's going to happen to me? And my other friend's like, what's going to happen to my baby now with everything going on? It's a scary world. But I'm I'm not going to say that I'm scared. I mean, it's a scary thought, but I try to think of it in a way where I'm like, well, he's not president yet. He's elected president. His job does not begin till next year. So we really don't know what's going to happen. We really honestly don't know. And I'm a person, I will give anyone the benefit of the doubt, you know. I mean, there have been, this is my third election, like presidential election that I voted on. And while I did vote and my vote did not win, I am willing to see what will happen. You know, maybe he won't be as awful as everybody thinks. We really can't say until he is president. And I think that's the scary situation that everyone is thinking. Like, everyone's jumping to the conclusions of everything he said while he was running for president. But honestly, we don't even really know if he's going to go through it. Is he going to build a wall in Mexico? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it was all shit talk. Maybe half the things he said was shit talk. Maybe he will actually, you know, do something against, like, you know, gay marriage or abortions or whatever. We don't know because he's not president yet. But I'm hoping that, as everyone had voted him for, I hope in a way he does make America great again. So I'm trying to be optimistic about it. But regardless of what he actually does or doesn't do, we have to remember, as a country, as people, as family, as humans, that we are what matter the most, not just what, you know, some guy does as president or what some guy says as president. Because at the end of the day, the president isn't coming to your house and shaking your hand. He's not hugging you. He's not sitting down and having dinner with your family. He's not watching over your children. He's not. You are. You have to. And you have to, in a way, look out for yourself. So, you know, this is why, more than ever, we need to learn to love each other. And love each other a lot. And I hate to see anything go on in the world. I hate to see all the violence and protests and vandalism going on, because it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, someone shared a picture going around on Facebook, and it was a black and white photo of Susan B. Anthony. And I'm not even really going to remember the exact quote, maybe or maybe not that you've seen it, but it said something on the order of, you know, she fought for her right to vote, you know, but she didn't, I'm going to fuck this up. I'm pretty sure it was Susan B. Anthony. But basically, what it was trying to say was, maybe you did see it, so rather than me saying it wrong, I'm just not going to mention it. So pretend that part never happened. But if you look at political figures and, like, people in the past that have made a historical difference, like, did you see people, like, violently fight against one another if it wasn't World War I? Like, did you see someone protest their right to do something by beating people up, by shooting people, by, like, vandalizing cars and lighting garbage in the streets? No, like, I don't get why people, and I don't even know why people are doing it, like, because if you're outwardly angry and, you know, you go out and you are involved in these protests and these, like, violence and everything, do you honestly think that by lighting garbage and throwing it in the streets and attacking police officers that they're going to turn around and they go, oh my God, I'm so sorry, you know what, Hillary's president? They're not going to do that. They're not. It is who it is, and that's it. Like, it sucks, but we have to stand together and we have to be respectful in the way that this country freaking worked and the way that the president was elected. And honestly, if you feel like you still need to go out there and beat up people and yell at people and, like, get angry and break shit, and then something's wrong. You need to evaluate your priorities, because that is not the way that you make a stand and in what you say and your beliefs and how you feel. That is not the way to do it. You don't hurt everything and everyone around you because you're angry. That is not the way to do it. So it's been, in total, a pretty emotional week, and it's been pretty upsetting, which is why I think this weekend a lot of love is needed for everybody. Because I think everyone right now needs a hug. They need, some quality time with friends and stuff. And that's where I'm going tonight, is I'm going to go see a friend to talk about my problems, to talk about the future, to talk about whatever, to get it off my mind, and just go spend quality time with people I love. And just hope for the best, because, I mean, we're all in this shitty world together. Like, if you don't like it, then leave. Then go somewhere else. Then go to Canada. Whatever the hell you'd rather do than be here and deal with this. But just remember that this is always going to be here. And every country has their fault. So it's not like the grass is always greener on the other side. That's about as political as I'm going to make it. And I really hope that all of you guys understand where I'm coming from. And I really hope everything gets better for us, gets better for me. Maybe you've had a shitty week, and hopefully it gets better for you as well. But I'm hoping that as a cat family, we can all just come together and love each other and not do this, not get involved in this. Reach out to people who need it. There might be people who are really affected by this entire week, by something personal or something political. And right now, they need a friend more than anything. They need someone to help them, and not ruin people's lives and shit. So I think that's where I'm going to end it. So, yeah. So, I'm saying so a lot. So. I am going to finish putting up Deadly Premonition this weekend. And I am going to put up Outlast next, and I'm going to be working on Obscure. So there's going to be stuff for you to watch. And I'm going to upload Batman from Twitch, because I did Batman last night. Thank you guys, by the way, whoever came to the stream. I appreciate it. I had such a really good time. And I hope you guys love each other and love one another. Love conquers all. And I will see you guys soon, hopefully with a improved vlog and not, this. But thank you guys for listening. Take care. See you next time, and bye-bye.